They say, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. But what if my best friend was also my greatest enemy? She took me to the highest I had ever felt, made me forget about the lows. It's like she was Houdini with the way she made them disappear. So I stayed with her, over the moon, not realizing I actually never made it off my feet. I'm scared of heights. She always insisted, just look at the breathtaking view and never look down. One time, I didn't listen to her, and below my body was the depths of despair. With one slip, I felt myself sinking, but with one sniff, I could be elevated again. With another sip, the color blue carried me back to the sky instead of to my depression. I grinded white clouds into powder, shaved my skin to scrape lines. Artificial dopamine made a home in my nostrils and down my throat. As it slivered, living felt like, what can I get my hands on next? Living felt a lot like dying. Not dying made me realize she never actually fed me breath. Best friend, your apology for playing games with my life can't come any sooner, for I have already lost myself in loving you. When I was a little girl, I used to love to play board games with my family. One game I remember playing was the board game Sorry. If you're unfamiliar with the game, the goal is to be the first to get all your pawns from start to home. You do this by drawing cards. One card, a special card, has the word sorry written in the middle of it. Every time my dad pulled this card, I knew why he was so excited to say it. He could say sorry without having actions to prove it meaningful. Sorry just to do some fuck shit again. Sorry for putting booze before breakthroughs. In fact, I think this is the only time I heard him say it with such purpose. Like we needed to be engulfed in a game in order for it to mean something. A sincere sorry was foreign on the tongue because every single time mom left beer turned my dad into bear, where claws, masked fists, where purple and blue met and became best friends every single time. Me and my brother smelt the yeast. We prepared ourselves to play, to be pawn for an angry alcoholic. I forgot to mention the game has safety zones. Once you enter one, you are not to be touched, to be hit, to be knocked to the ground. And me and my brother's arms acted like safety zones for each other, but they did not protect us from abuse caused by substance abuse. You see, arms only act as good enough shields when you are old enough to fight back. And at 5 years old, I was much better at hiding, not seeking, never wanted to be found, just forgotten until mom came home. But this is not who my dad is, no. This is not an I hate my dad poem. This is an I hate people who can't handle their liquor poem. This is an I hate people who act like alcohol isn't a drug, like it doesn't have the ability to kill. And although I didn't die, parts of my childhood deserve to rest in peace, but I know this is only my dad when he is drunk, because he is sunshine when sober, adorned when abstinent. But sorry was supposed to mean change, not sorry, but I'm going to be intoxicated and infuriated. So sorry, you just have to be that little girl that loves to play sorry, because this is part of the game. Sorry, but older me is going to bend the rules. I want to say I'm sorry. I too now know what it's like to be sick, to have an unwanted disease. Addiction doesn't warn you, it's living inside you like a parasite. You find out when it is much too late, when it's already leached its way into your skin, feasting off your body. I learned that consuming drugs meant letting them consume me, so I can either be vampire or corpse, and I chose to live. So when you chose spirits over our spirits, it felt like teeth sinking into the flesh of my heart, gnawing at forgiveness with liquored language. Dad, I'm still waiting for an apology as a proper form of treatment. And no rehab taught me that recovery isn't remedy, that healing helps the hollowness, that sorry is sorrowful in silence. Dad, I love you, but me and you will never be able to win this game. Addicts lose the moment we start playing. To be more than just a body is to breathe colorful paper, blow out confetti air at any celebration. To be more than just a body is to feel shiny sediments on your skin, giving glitter and gold to anything you touch. But what good is being more than just a body when body doesn't recognize self? Body requires fuel to keep it running, but when self sees body in the mirror, she thinks that food should not be kept in it. But don't worry, every bite translates to calories. Self's fingers meet the back of body's throat after every meal. Self tells body this is how we cancel out the equation. Body does not digest this well. She screams from intestines, but self persists on the outside. Ask brain, do you want a flat stomach? Brain nods eagerly, not recognizing this is a blueprint for mental illness. Teeth beg self to stop vomiting away their enamel. Purging is not purification. Self says that we are worried about the wrong thing, shows eyes, pictures of past body to remind us that we have work to do. Body tells self the work is loving every inch of us, not looking at skin and asking, how do we get less of it? But thank it for its protection. It was not meant to shed, to be woven into coat, hung up like lacerated leather, leave those bones buried in that closet before body morphs into casket. Self asks body, how will citrus fragrant through pores if not peeled? To which body replied, the wound is already open. How much more juice do you need to extract before you notice it stings and is stripped of all of its zest?
I no longer sink when I swim, but rather swirl in a vast sea where the coral is peachy and the fish frolic into friendship. With each stroke, I dive farther away from the realms of reality. In this underwater world, I feel secure. I no longer fall when I fly, but rather float in an open sky, drifting in the velvety clouds of white ribbons where the birds become beacon with each flutter. I am gliding away from the thoughts in my head in this atmosphere. I feel safe. I no longer cry when I crumble, but rather carry myself at the weight of my feet. I realize the only thing cementing me down is perspective. And with open arms, I can wrap them around this body of mine, hugging the parts of me that people have yet to understand, the parts that I'm still learning to love, with an embrace so steady, forcing myself to feel sheltered within.
To the man that asked me, how can I have an OnlyFans and be a poet? I saw your ass subscribe the next day. You're having a hard time grasping the fact that you like what comes out of this mouth, not just what you can put in it. You wanted me to play the role of submission, which I have been submitting to a lot of literary magazines lately. But no, you wanted me to be the one that cooks and cleans, the one that gets on my knees, serves you my flesh like fresh meat. Just because I put my body on display does not mean it isn't all-you-can-eat buffet, and I hope you like to eat shit, because I got a lot of it to talk. Let my poems also be my moans, belting bilingual breath, balancing beauty and brains. How can someone spit so sexy but speak so sophisticated? They asked, how can I be stripper and poet? I told them my tongue is venom, a seductive snake slithering through your stacks and hissing honesty, a sultry spider crawling into your emotions with my poisonous pen, weave you into this webcam. Why is it that when women show skin, we are deemed unintelligent? I'm tired of worrying about what's going to happen to me as a poet once I say I'm sex worker as well. Did I tell you? I'm also daughter and sister and cat mom and jewelry maker and teacher, and it never matters. Because when you tell someone you're a sex worker, all they see you as a slut, as home, a place to break into and rob you of your pieces. And damn, I got some pretty priceless pieces and a pretty pricey pussy because I love paper, whether I'm putting ink to it or it's being put in the side of my G-string. The same man that scored me a 1 on this stage managed to give me 100 of them on another the week before. Should I have used the microphone stand as a pole? Would he have given me a 10 if he still saw me as a 10? I guess my trauma made me undesirable because I guess now you can't ignore it. The discomfort on my face while you were groping me was easy to turn a blind eye to, and my wounds became verbal. You drowned out my bleeding voice to white noise. My trauma might not be erotic, but the way I managed to turn it into craft sure as hell is. People are looking at us like objects before trying to hear our objectives, trying to touch our lips before they even get the chance to communicate, stigmatizing our work before prioritizing our safety. How is my profession unprofessional? We're all getting fucked by capitalism anyways. Morality is monetized, sold, and surplus, so answer this. Am I still a whore if you never knew I was a sex worker? Am I still a poet now that you know? Studies show that red is the most attractive color. I learned this when a man at work told me I should wear red more often, as it's affiliated with sexuality, that I would get more green if I wore more red. Red is sultry. Red is holidays, Valentine's love, strawberries and roses, Christmas stockings, fireplaces. Red, overpowering the blue even in winter heat. Radiating skin before a cold shiver, anger, taking forth before sadness, and I was seeing red the night that I wore it. Or maybe I was seeing black, my mind numbed, or maybe I was seeing green dollar bills, thinking that if it's not me now in this moment, it will be the next girl in another. And I want to help my mother buy a house again. But I don't think she would have liked how often I pushed my boundaries to do so. Red is still my favorite color. It has the ability to provoke intense emotions like romance, like sex, like rage when told no, like sacrifice, like bleeding epidermis that was never cut, just touched by hands that caressed like razor blades. I was never technically ripped open, just stuffed into a void. Red is a dark room where film is developed into photographs, and I've pictured me in there. A memory dangling from a clothespin, one in which I was the epitome of seduction, one in which I was fully developed, and I was smiling, and was told a picture is worth 1,000. Not words, just 1,000, just money, just a body, just another slut who found themselves in the back of a red-lit strip club. Have you noticed that do not enter signs are red? Red is danger. Red is authorized personnel only. Authorization quickly turns into transaction. It's exchanging advances for advances. Sirens sound a lot like cries for help, yet we silence them into a warning, and I am starting to wonder if that's what makes red more attractive. If we block out the words on the sign that say stop and inch our way closer until it turns green, until it's a rolling stop, rolling in cash in hand. Red is not the only color I have been wearing in cases where my humanity hackled into a homicide. I've survived the murder in magenta and masculinity, a killing with cargo khakis dyke on display, and I know, no matter the shade or the garment, no matter the job or the place we are exposed, susceptible to another human's harm, but it feels different when how you manage to live is always going to be a glaring target. Humanity will be sized down to harlot. Red is just the color I remember most, because it reminds me of the incisions I patched up with a check. Red is the slaughtering of safety. Red is the glory and the gruesomeness. Red is the shedding of my skin when you peel back the layers and see fingerprints sunken into the tissue, impressions on every organ as they were abrased for arousal. And don't be scared of the gore, because this horror is finally ready for the massacre. Studies show that red is the most attractive color. So dance to my knife, drink scarlet, and drowned in the bloodbath. How pretty is it to be doused in red? When I first came out as bi, and everyone was like, it's just a phase. Joke's on you, homophobes, you're all right, because now I'm gay. But with a mouthful of sin, I could never cough up the word lesbian. We are taught that word is dirty, and only the good kind when it is in front of a porn title. We are taught that sex is gross, sex is gross unless it is made for male arousal, unless we can be watched, like a science experiment. But only one chemical reaction leads to transformation. We are just substance providing energy that never keeps the lights on in our house. My community is made up of bricks and stone wall, and on the nights where me and my lover are a circuited fuse, where our bodies become electricity, and I finally feel safe enough to feel present in the moment, not for money or for anyone or anything else. I thank the stars for the riots. I no longer pray to a God that won't hear me, that won't see me kneel in my times of despair, but I press my palms together with Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera in the back of my mind to pay homage to all the transgender sex workers who walk the stroll assaulted and brutalized just so that I can be on stages today. And I say hallelujah to the ones that fight and continue to fight. The fight is never ending. I'm lesbian. As in trans lesbians exist, I'm lesbian. As in liberation for one of us means liberation for all of us, I'm lesbian. As in lesbians who don't feel safe enough to come out yet, non-binary lesbians, asexual lesbians exist, lesbians. And I'm not scared to say the word anymore. I've overcome the fear because I'm queer. As in queer is the intersectionality and frontline of every movement, I'm queer. As in, if you wave your flag tall and proud, make sure the space you create around it is safe. If not, let's burn that shit down. Let the smoke be a signal to my love, I promise. If my partner's lips are sin, send me to the confession booth. If I'm not forgiven, I'll go to hell if I can kiss women. Let the fire breathe us into existence. Let's feed the flames. Watch it come something larger than us, something that can't be tamed, something that even water would be scared to approach. Let's feed the flames and feast off the rage, because what is all this fire and fury without a purpose? What is all this for if not to celebrate?
Words say everything, yet say nothing at all. You tell me I love you, but to what depths? Is it deep enough to fill the void in my heart, or is it shallow enough to scratch the insides of my chest to every last scrape until I crumble? If I crumble, will you crumble with me? Or will I become a lonely symphony of disintegration that never unfolds from your dreams that were once vivid have transformed into fleeting moments, like a missing package I never quite arrive on your doorstep? I drift away, I probably will never make it into your fingertips. Your touch will distillate along with the needed conversations that are never discussed. Drift away like a feather that flies in the air, chipped from a broken wing. When you try to catch it, it's already running away from you. I want it to be everything it is not. The feelings, the laughs, the breaths we share, it has no meaning anymore. And I'm trying to decipher if it is me, you, her, us, or one of each combined. Tossed everything up. Now there is a salad on my plate. I was taught this mixture is heterogeneous, but I can't take the dressing off well-coated. Your taste is lingering. My mouth is full of words I'll never get the chance to say to you. Stuffed with promises and no one to honor them, they sit in the back of my throat waiting to be choked out. But what even is anything when I can no longer hold on to what I desire? Somewhere, I can hold onto something, your hand, clutched tight into my grip, your arm, warped snug around my torso. But how strange is that somewhere is not next to you, because beside you, silence says everything.
I used to think that pain got easier. But the more I stayed, I saw it become harder. Saw it become worse. I thought that if I just endured it, it would eventually feel like getting a tattoo and my body would become numb to the feeling. But the only feeling it became numb to was your touch. After a while, its coldness became bleak. After a while, it was only comforting when it was prefaced with love bombing vomit that spewed out of your mouth like a chocolate fountain, although it was sickening. After a while, doctors told me the only cure for this is to stop blaming yourself. After a while, the chocolate became bitter, the sweetness became my delusions, and all I tasted were lies. I now realize I saw a home in you while you only saw a hotel in me. Just a place to rest when no one else was letting you in, when the knocking became my beating heart and all it took was one knock and there I would be at the doorway, greeting you as if my heart wasn't already shattered. As if every wall didn't already have patched up holes, the damage was still apparent. Sometimes I would take a hammer and nail into it to prove to myself that abuse is engraved, as if ghosts didn't hide in the ceilings, as if the floorboards didn't creak because maybe they were trying to tell me they're tired of being walked all over. Trying to tell me that not everybody's feet were meant to walk on them, trying to tell me to stop answering the door just because you love someone. Being built upon an unstable foundation only results in being torn down. So please tell me why you had to turn my castle back into bricks. My love is made up of stone, although I wish it looked more like a gemstone, a crystal that people admired instead of just another piece of rock. I guess that counts for something considering that it has always been solid. But I don't want it to stay hard forever because I want someone to be able to get to know me without having to take that hammer and that nail and nail and nail and nail into me to break me apart. I want my love to be something soft. Something like a Valentine's Day teddy bear that people look at in the aisle and say, ooh, I want that. Something that feels like a marshmallow before it was roasted, because we all know how quickly it becomes burnt. Before I was forced to learn the term radical acceptance, because I'm tired of excusing toxic people in my life since that's just the way that they are, and that may be true, so I'm not sure why I keep trying to fix them. My toolbox is scattered throughout all of their closets. Sandpaper to shave down overly aggressive parts, pliers to bend their words in the right direction, a wrench to turn the narrative, fasten their emotions, adjust their pain and childhood trauma. The only thing left in mine is this infinite tape measure. And I think it finally might be ready to see how much I've grown, how much farther I'll continue to go.